The mini-golf mongoose and her hypocritical hijinks. Hey guys, Culture here. Today we're going to be discussing a story. More specifically, we'll talk about some events that happened to me and the emotional impact of these events.
Oh, stop right there. You gotta loosen up a bit, Culture. This isn't one of your dingy old educational videos. This is a story from your life, full of excitement, danger, and intrigue. Spice it up a bit, man!
I'm sorry, you're absolutely right, Crash. I should let my hair down a bit.
Oh god, that's just not the right look for you. Let's try something a little more classy, sophisticated even.
More like this?
Much better. Now all you need is a tweed jacket and a pipe.
Okay, let me just... Well, hold on. This is supposed to be my video. What are you doing in it? Get out of here.
All right. Good luck, people. Culture's life is more boring than a plain piece of toast.
Then allow me to butter up the metaphorical toast of my life with some tales of love and loss, some caliente romances, and some not-so-caliente dates. I'll spread a thin layer of Vegemite with dry wit, and top with the avocado that is my humorous perspective. Next, I'll add some paprika.
Get on with it!
Oh, right. Well, boys and girls, it may surprise you to hear that I too am a patron of the sultry seductress that is Tinder. That swiping succubus has claimed more of my hours than I care to admit, and led me down paths no mortal person should walk. I can't impress upon you enough just how warped your ideas of people become when you begin to judge them based on a couple pictures and a short biography. At first, I struggled to adjust to this new format, but soon I became enthralled by it. I was lost to the swirling vortex of identities that were compressed down and manufactured by this flirtation factory. And then, it was as though in the waters I came across a paddle, a tool to give me direction and guide my shambling self through this maelstrom of matches. I began to perfect my profile, mold my messages, and refine my rapport to the point at which I felt at one with the shallow system of Tinder. My paddle became a double-ended paddle, then a sail and rudder, then an outboard motor, and finally, a plutonium-powered nuclear reactor strapped to the back of my dinghy that I could use to push back against the ceaseless tides. My confidence grew, and I saw fit to take a plunge into the icy waters and answer a siren's call. She thought she was tempting me into the abyss. I had come prepared, and so I took aim and released the perfect shot. I said, "Hey, what's up? Your dog looks cute in that picture." She responded, "Haha, thanks, not much. What's up with you?" I floundered. She had simply deflected my query. She refused to reveal her goings-on, and in doing so left me with no leverage by which I might make a witty response or insightful comment. Was I wrong to say her dog was adorable? Why didn't she at least tell me her dog's name? Isn't that what people do when you remark about their pets? Isn't it? My once proud vessel was washed upon the rocks, and the tide fell away, leaving me stranded. This was my first venture into the ocean of Tinder profiles, but what I didn't realize then was how many adventures there were to come. I'd like to take this story time to tell of my experiences on Tinder, and of dates in general, in the hopes that you might glean some element of my character from these tales, and learn not to make the same mistakes. Or hey, maybe you'll just get to laugh at my misfortune. Either way, let's begin with a story I like to call The Mini-Golf Mongoose and Her Hypocritical Hijinks. This story begins in the early days of Bumble, an app essentially identical to Tinder, except the girl always gets to message first. This prevents girls getting spammed with creepy messages from strangers who they drunkenly swiped right on the night before while having a laugh with their girlfriends. And no, before you start making jokes, I wasn't on Bumble because I'd exhausted every option on Tinder. I'd just reached my cap on swiping for the day, and didn't want to buy whatever the Tinder Premium thing is called. Gold, I think? Tinder Gold? Tinder Platinum? Why am I asking when no one can answer? Anyway, downloading another app seemed the fastest way to solve my problem. I started swiping and immediately noticed that I was finding a lot of genuinely attractive girls. Now I knew why it was called Bumble, because it was full of honeys. Oh god, I hate myself for that joke. Can we just forget I said that? Great, I'd rather not be remembered as a creepy uncle. Within a few minutes, I had matched with a girl, and she looked super cute. I honestly couldn't believe we had matched. I thought for sure it must be a bot or something, but no, she was real, and she messaged me that night. We had a bit of playful banter back and forth. She seemed confident and intelligent, and had a good sense of humor. I was ready to ask her out on a date, and I'd been mulling over the idea of mini-golf as a first date activity. It has a few advantages. It gives you a chance to chat, unlike a movie, bit of competitive spirit to get the conversation going, and not too long, so if the date is going badly, you have an exit plan. Little did I realize that I was going to need that last advantage the most. The day of the date arrives, and I've got the usual pre-date jitters, but mostly because I'm excited to meet this girl in person. Let's call this girl Penelope. Actually, no, that's too nice of a name for this girl. Let's call her Time Waster. I step inside the mini-golf lobby and see that there's only one person in the whole place. She doesn't look at all like Time Waster, so that couldn't possibly be her. As I look more closely though, the truth dawns on me. It is Time Waster. She sees me and smiles. She looks nothing like her picture on Bumble. I force a smile back. My mind is rotating through the pictures on her profile, stripping away at the filters and accounting for how she posed herself to try and explain the disparity between the girl I saw on Tinder and the girl in front of me. But in the next instant, I realized how stupid I'm being. What does it matter if she doesn't look exactly like her pictures? She's still cute, and we got along really well when we talked online. I resolved to give the date a fair shot and see if we connected on a deeper level. As you can guess by the nickname Time Waster though, this was a foolish endeavor. The first issue was she was clearly very shy. Like incredibly shy. Not like, oh it's cute that she blushes when I compliment her shy, but more like so shy that she can't bring herself to hold a conversation with another person and withdraws as a defense mechanism, shy. I'm not holding it against her. I get a bit shy when meeting new people too, but it's impossible to have an engaging conversation with someone who kills every topic with a simple yes or no or maybe or I don't know. I think it felt especially egregious at the time because it was so different to how she spoke on Bumble. It was jarring, but at this point I just felt a little uncomfortable and a little sorry for her, so I wanted to do my best to let her relax into the situation and maybe open up a bit more. If you're feeling sorry for her at this point in the story, just wait. We begin playing, and I'm trying desperately to make small talk about anything. I'm getting smiles and nods of acknowledgement, but no real responses, no back and forth. I'm formulating a game plan to wrap this up as quickly as possible and get out of there. Then she takes a putt, and the ball comes within millimeters of going in, and she gets all puffed up about it and taps it in anyway, saying, "We're not counting that one." I'm like, okay, she's trying to be playful and keep it light. That's good. I mean, she's a cheater, but at least she's a cheater who's showing some personality now. I laugh and say, alright, and we move on to the next hole. This one's got a water hazard, and Time Waster wastes no time in smacking her ball right into the water. She plucks it out. That one doesn't count either. I laugh again, even though her tone was more serious that time. She's getting frustrated, I can tell. So now we've gone from no personality to frustrated. Fantastic. The game proceeds in this way for a while, cycling through silence, frustration, and attempts at small talk. She decides to break up this repetition with a new element, bragging. She's bragging because she's beating me. How surprising, the person who's able to retract any dud shot she makes is winning. What a flattering quality in a person. Someone who brags about such small victories. And no, she wasn't doing it in a cute way. It was aggressive bragging, rubbing it in my face. She genuinely thought she was better than me. I don't think I'm a prideful person, but this date certainly tested my patience on the matter as she stripped away at every shred of my manhood. I'm trying to figure out how to get across just how awful this really was. Imagine if you got a pet mongoose because they looked cuddly in pictures. You bring it home and the whole way home it's completely silent. You think it's just nervous. Then you go to play with it and it doesn't engage with you at all. When you try to feed it to show it some degree of affection, it lashes out and scratches your hand. You try desperately to have fun with this mongoose and it gives you nothing in return. Then, to add insult to injury, the mongoose finds your pet snake and kills it. Time Waster is the aggressive mongoose ripping the snake, my manhood, to pieces. Now let's not think too long about the symbolic ramifications of a snake representing manhood. And you know what? I'll say it. She had a face a bit like a mongoose too. Small features with a pointy chin and sharp teeth. I thought I was above commenting on her appearance, but apparently not. I think it adds something to my growing dislike for her, that every time she was bragging or getting mad at her awful putts or pouting, that I had to look at her little mongoosey face. We proceed to one of those holes where you hit the ball up a slope at the very start. If you miss, the ball hits the opposite wall and rolls back down. Of course, Mongoose herself stuffs it up about 3 times and resets every time. When the ball rolls back down, my eyes roll along with it. She finally hits the ball in after sighing super loudly, and it's my turn. I take a shot and miss, and it rolls back down. Jokingly, I say, lucky we're not counting those ones. And she says, yes we are. I think she's kidding, of course, but her deadpan expression says otherwise. I'm like, you got to take yours back, and Mongoose says, and I quote, yeah, but you're a guy. My mind is blown. What is this reverse sexism BS? Am I alone in thinking that we should be playing by the same rules? Can you imagine if I said to a girl that I would give myself a handicap because I'm a guy and therefore I'm better than her at mini golf? I mean, seriously, it's mini golf. I can't stress enough how much she was not kidding either. She wasn't being playful or cute or anything. She just straight up thought that she should get to take back her shots and I shouldn't. And not only that, she would get mad if I tried to take back a shot. Mongoose is a complete hypocrite, and hypocrites are something that I just cannot stand. I let it go. We only had a few holes left after all. The bragging not only continued, but escalated. Other people at the mini-golf park were looking at her because she was making that much noise. My only play was to awkwardly laugh it off when she got too excited about it. On the hole in front of us was a couple who'd obviously been together for a while. They were the picture of perfection. I hated them. No, actually, you know what? That's unfair. I hated Mongoose. Hate is a strong word, but in that moment, I really did. If I were a more assertive person back then I would have just walked out, but I resigned myself to finishing the game. I knew there was only one way to bring back some shred of dignity and salvage the horrendous outing that this had turned out to be. I had to win. I dug deep and played the best I could. Her ball got stuck in one of the rocks that had a PVC pipe through it. I laughed in my head. I laughed so hard in my head that I laughed out loud. She got angry, but I didn't care. I got a hole in one on the same hole, and it felt so good when I turned to see Mongoose stunned in disbelief. But alas, it was too late. I was trailing by 2 strokes on the final hole, and was unable to beat her. She rubbed it in. The couple in front of us who had just finished furrowed their brows in confusion, and I stood there and just had to cop it on the chin. I fumbled my way through the goodbyes and lied, saying I'd message her. In fairness, she didn't seem like she wanted to meet up again either. I took the scorecard from that game with me and kept it in my car as a reminder of a few things. Firstly, be careful about pictures. Check those angles and the filters. Secondly, be more assertive. If your date is awful, you don't need to humor them and stick it out just to be polite. Lastly, don't do mini golf as a first date. Anything competitive really is just bound to bring out the worst in people. In recent times, my view on that last rule has changed. I think mini golf can work, but the scar runs so deep for me that it's hard to forget. Mongoose ruined mini golf for me, a crime that I can never forgive. Sure, I'll still play, but as the breeze turns the tiny windmill, I can still hear her mocking laughter. It was a small price to pay for a lesson well learnt. An hour of my life and $16. Oh, did I mention I paid for a game? Yeah, I did. That sneaky Mongoose cheated me out of my money. Now I call her Mongoose Montebank. Thanks for listening to me blather on about my trials and tribulations. I hope you enjoyed that story, and trust me, there's plenty more to come if you all want to hear them. See you all next week. If you enjoy what we do here at CultureCrash, please consider supporting the show via our Patreon, where we have a bunch of awesome rewards, or by checking out our online store. All links are in the description below.